The last light of the ancient year bleeds slowly across the sky, stretching thin over a world that seems to hold its breath. For early humans, this fading glow is more than a sunset, it's a sign, a message from the heavens whispered through colors of dying fire. They watch it in silence, their silhouettes carved against the frosted earth, knowing that when the sun slips behind the distant mountains tonight, it will not return with the strength they once knew. Its warmth will weaken. Its arc will shrink. And from this moment forward, each morning will feel a little dimmer, a little colder, a little farther away from the life they had known in the seasons before. The wind carries the scent of dry grass and distant snowfields. It brushes against their fur-wrapped shoulders like a cautious animal, testing their endurance before the true cold arrives. The tribe stands on a ridge overlooking a valley carved by ancient ice, a home that has nurtured them through countless cycles of the sun. But tonight, as the dying light spreads across the land, even familiar ground feels changed. The shadows grow longer. The air feels heavier. The world contracts, preparing for the silent siege of winter. For these early people, there is no calendar carved in stone, no written record to mark the turning of the seasons. Their clocks are the stars, the behavior of animals, the bloom and death of plants, and the long, patient watching of the sky. The elders remember the pattern, the shrinking sun, the deepening cold, the world turning inward. They speak softly to one another, recalling winters that nearly broke the tribe, winters where hunger gnawed like a restless spirit and where night lasted so long that people doubted daylight would ever return. Yet they also remember survival. They remember the lessons passed down through countless generations: trust the fire, follow the herds, stay close, share warmth, and listen carefully to the rhythm of the earth. As the last rays stretch across the horizon, children press closer to their parents' legs, sensing a shift even before they understand it. Instinct is their first teacher. The darkening world stirs something ancient in their small chests, an unease born from a time when humans were not the hunters but the hunted. The sky deepens into a bruised blend of purple and gold, and the temperature drops sharply, as if the sun's retreat has loosened the grip of warmth that held the land together. Some of the tribe step forward, placing stones, feathers, and dried flowers on a small mound, a quiet offering to the disappearing sun. They do not worship the star as a god but respect it as the center of all cycles, all life, all hope. They have seen what happens when the sun weakens: animals vanish into migration routes, rivers harden into sheets of ice, and the forest becomes a quiet maze where hunger stalks every living creature. The offering is not a plea but a recognition. A promise that they will survive its absence. For a moment, time seems suspended. The sun sits low, trembling, as if deciding whether to sink or remain. Never does the horizon feel so important as on days like these, days when the boundary between light and darkness becomes a symbol of fate. A few heartbeats pass. A breath. A stillness. And then, slowly, inevitably, the sun dips beneath the edge of the world. A hush falls over the tribe. No words are spoken, but a shared pulse moves through them: fear, unity, memory, and acceptance. Above them, the first stars blink awake, faint and far apart at first, then multiplying into a glittering spread across the darkening sky. To ancient people, the stars are not distant burning suns but stories, warnings, ancestors, and guiding markers. Their patterns remind the tribe where to travel, where to hunt, when to prepare, and when to rest. Tonight, the stars signal the same truth they have delivered since time before memory: the dark year has begun. The cold deepens quickly now. Breath turns to mist, drifting away like small ghosts. The tribe begins their descent from the ridge, their bodies swaying rhythmically, accustomed to walking long distances even in harsh air. As they move, they carry bundles of dried meat, stone tools, and precious embers wrapped in animal skins. Fire is life, and they treat it with the reverence one might show to a newborn child. In the valley below, the land has already begun its slow transformation. Frost coats the grass in shimmering layers. Streams have turned sluggish, the edges freezing first like the closing eyelids of the natural world. Birds have fallen silent. Only the faint call of a distant wolf echoes through the dusk, a reminder that others are preparing for the same long night. Within their shelters, simple but sturdy structures woven from mammoth bones, bark, and hides, the tribe gathers closer. They warm the air with fire, shared breath, and quiet conversation. The elders retell the stories of winters past, speaking of endurance and adaptation. They remind the younger ones that darkness is not an enemy but a teacher. It forces the tribe inward, urging them to strengthen bonds, sharpen skills, and remember what truly matters. The night outside thickens. Stars scatter across the sky like seeds waiting to sprout meaning. The tribe watches the flames dance within their shelter, each flicker reflecting the fragile hope they carry into the cold months ahead. Somewhere deep inside, beneath layers of fur, muscle, fear, and determination, humanity's first philosophy forms, that life is a cycle, that darkness has purpose, and that survival is not a battle against nature but a partnership with its ever-shifting rhythms. Tonight, the sun has paused. Tomorrow, it will rise again, but weaker, dimmer, more distant. And yet, the tribe is ready. They have seen this before. They have survived this before. And as long as fire burns and stories are shared, they will survive it again. The final days before the dark season arrive with a strange mixture of beauty and melancholy, as if the world itself is whispering farewell to warmth. The air holds a gentler chill than what is coming, a soft warning carried on fading breezes. Leaves, once vibrant with the fire of summer, have dulled into brittle golds and browns, clinging weakly to branches before drifting down like tired travelers preparing for a long rest. For the ancient tribe, this is a time of motion, of purposeful gathering, of tightening the weave between survival and caution. They move across the land with heightened awareness, knowing each passing hour is one more step toward winter's relentless stillness. Autumn does not surrender easily. It lingers with a beauty that tempts the heart, offering sunsets painted in amber, animals wandering in slow, graceful patterns, and forests that sigh with gentle breezes rather than howl with the icy bite yet to come. But beneath this softness lies urgency. The tribe feels it in their bones, in the instincts carried from countless generations: gather the last berries, smoke the final strips of meat, repair shelters, reinforce the walls, check every tool, store every ember. Even the children know this season is not simply a time of rest but the final test before endurance becomes law. Each morning begins with a heavy frost that melts slowly under the day's weak sunlight. Hunters track the larger animals, mammoths preparing to migrate, reindeer shifting in restless herds, bison rubbing against trees to shed the last of their summer coats. Prey grows leaner now, moving with unpredictable patterns as food becomes scarce. The hunters read the land carefully, understanding that a single mistake now could cost the entire tribe dearly once winter seals the valley in silence. But even as they hunt, they admire the fading world, the soft crackle of frozen leaves, the distant calls of migrating birds, the rich scent of damp earth about to harden into stone. Closer to camp, others work with quiet determination. Women weave insulated layers of grass and fur into sleeping mats, their fingers numb but swift. Elders shape new fire-hardened points for spears, working until their hands tremble from the cold. Younger boys and girls haul logs from the forest's edge, stumbling but learning, each contributing to the invisible shield the tribe builds against the coming darkness. These tasks are not merely chores but rituals, acts of love, care, and ancient wisdom passed down through word, gesture, and necessity. Autumn evenings carry a different mood. The tribe gathers around the central fire, eating the day's final warm meal and basking in a glow that feels precious now, fragile, as if one strong wind could extinguish it forever. Flames reflect in their eyes filled with thoughts they do not speak aloud. The elders share stories of past winters, recounting losses and triumphs. Their voices soften when they speak of storms that devoured entire hunting grounds or nights so silent that even the wolves dared not howl. The children listen with wide eyes, understanding that these tales are warnings disguised as memories. Yet there is beauty even within this tension. As the sun sinks earlier each day, the long shadows stretch across the landscape like dark ribbons, weaving the world into patterns both eerie and enchanting. The tribe stands at the threshold of two worlds, one fading, one approaching with icy certainty. In these twilight moments, the ancient people pause and breathe deeply, honoring the world they are losing even as they brace themselves for the one that waits. On the last evening before the solstice winds sweep down from the northern peaks, the tribe performs a quiet ritual. They ignite a single, carefully tended ember from the fire, a symbol of the warmth they will carry into the cold. The ember is placed inside a decorated container made of bone and hide, watched over by the fire keeper until spring. This ember is more than heat, it is memory, promise, endurance. It reminds them that even in the longest night, something small and bright can survive. As twilight fades into true dark, the tribe feels the shift, autumn's final breath, winter's first whisper. The air tightens, the trees still, the animals retreat. The last ember of autumn glows gently in its cradle, a tiny defiance against the vast cold creeping over the world. And though fear stirs quietly within each heart, so does determination. The tribe has prepared. They have honored the season, gathered its gifts, and read its warnings. Now, they step toward winter, not unafraid, but ready. The first true frost of the season arrives quietly, without announcement, settling over the land like a thin veil of pale breath. When the tribe wakes, the world outside their shelters seems transformed, glittering, stiff, and strangely still. Grass that once bent softly under footsteps now snaps with the brittle sharpness of frozen glass. Leaves are coated in a delicate white crust, shimmering in the faint morning light. The air itself feels different, heavier, as if holding secrets it has waited all year to reveal. For ancient humans, this moment is not just the coming of cold but the crossing of a threshold. Frost is a messenger, a warning, a sign from the world that the dark year has truly begun. Hunters step out first, their breath rising in small clouds as the morning sun fails to warm the earth. They crouch low to examine the frost-covered ground, tracing lines and patterns with trained eyes. Every frozen footprint tells a story, where the deer ran during the night, where the wolves gathered, how the wind moved over the land. Frost preserves these marks with eerie clarity, giving the hunters glimpses into the secret lives of the animals they depend upon. But frost also signals scarcity. Plants give in to the cold, insects vanish, and prey becomes harder to find. This delicate white sheet covering the land is beautiful, but its beauty comes with a cost. Near the shelters, the tribe's women and elders move slowly through their morning tasks, adjusting to the sudden sting of cold that bites the skin. Water skins stiffen, baskets crackle when touched, and the once soft dirt at the hearth's edge feels like stone beneath their feet. The children, wide-eyed, trace shapes in the frost with their fingers, marveling at a world that looks dusted with powdered sunlight. They laugh, unaware of the deeper meaning this omen carries, but their parents watch with quiet concern. They know the frost is more than decoration, it is nature's first whispered warning of hardship to come. The elders gather briefly, their faces lined with memory. They recall winters when the first frost arrived early, bringing storms that buried the valley in layers of snow taller than a grown man's waist. They recall years when frost arrived late, misleading the tribe into a false sense of safety before the cold struck brutally. The elders speak in low tones, interpreting the frost's thickness, the texture of the frozen ground, and the speed at which ice forms across small streams. These details, seemingly mundane, are part of an inherited knowledge older than language itself. As the sun rises higher, though still weak and pale, the frost begins to melt in certain places, releasing the faint scent of earth mixed with ice. The melting reveals signs the tribe did not expect, the paw prints of a lone predator circling near the edge of the camp, the hurried tracks of small animals fleeing in the night, and deep grooves where a larger creature dragged something heavy across the frozen grass. The tribe studies these signs carefully, knowing that frost makes the world easier to read but also more dangerous. Predators are emboldened during the cold, hungrier, more desperate, and willing to take risks they would avoid in warmer times. Throughout the day, the frost returns again and again in patches, even as the weak sun attempts to soften it. Its persistence unsettles the tribe. Animals that once roamed freely begin to move cautiously, their breath fogging the air. Birds fly in tighter formations, scanning for safe resting spots. The forest loses its usual chorus, replaced by an uncomfortable quiet that settles in the spaces between trees. Every sound becomes amplified, the snapping of twigs, the rustle of hides, the low mutter of conversation carried on the cold wind. In the afternoon, as hunters return with little to show, the frost thickens along the edges of the river. The water slows, its surface forming fragile patterns that resemble veins or ancient runes. The children watch the ice grow in delicate webs, unaware that this frozen lacework hints at the river's eventual solidification, a fate that will make water harder to access but may allow travel across its surface later in the season. Nature is shifting, rearranging its rules, and the tribe must adapt with every change. As evening falls, the frost returns with renewed strength. It creeps across every surface, stones, branches, even the hide stretched over the shelters. The world glows faintly under the moon's silver light, as if dusted with stars. The tribe gathers around the fire, wrapped in layers of fur, listening to the strange silence of the frozen world outside. Frost brings stillness unlike any other. Even the wind seems cautious, moving softly through the trees, carrying the quiet voice of winter on its breath. The fire crackles, sending sparks into the cold night air. The elders recount old tales of frost spirits, silent beings who walk the land ahead of winter, testing the strength of every creature, reminding them of the season's unforgiving nature. Whether believed literally or metaphorically, these stories bind the tribe together, giving meaning to the harshness surrounding them. The frost outside becomes not just a phenomenon but a presence, a visitor with purpose. By the time the tribe lies down to sleep, the world is silent beneath its icy blanket. Frost has claimed the land for the night, and it will return again, stronger, deeper, more persistent. It is the earth's first omen, a quiet declaration that the gentle days are over. But within this silence lies a strange beauty, fragile, fleeting, and luminous under the moonlight. The tribe feels both fear and respect. They understand what the frost brings, but they also know they must accept it. For frost does not come to threaten, it comes to remind. It signals the beginning of winter's long story, a story that will test them, shape them, and ultimately reveal their strength. The first frost has fallen. And the world is forever changed. As the daylight weakens and the cold deepens, the animals of the prehistoric world begin to change their rhythms in ways both subtle and dramatic. To the tribe, these shifts are not random but messages written into the landscape, signals that the great turning of the seasons has begun. Each species responds to the dimming world differently, and in observing them, humans learn how to prepare for the trials ahead. In this season, animals become both teachers and warnings, embodying the struggle for survival in a world where every choice matters. The mammoths are the first to announce the change. Their massive silhouettes move slowly across distant plains, gathering in tighter herds than before. Their thick coats have already begun to rise and fluff, trapping precious warmth beneath layers of fur. The tribe watches them with awe. These towering giants seem almost carved from the winter itself, unshaken by the cold creeping into the earth. Yet even the mammoths respect the season, shifting their migration routes to follow the last patches of grasses and edible shoots. Their movement becomes a map for human hunters, a sign of where food might still be found in the coming scarcity. Closer to the forest, wolves begin to reorganize. Packs tighten ranks, communicating through low growls and rhythmic pacing. Their steps become deliberate, unified, purposeful, each wolf attuned to the energies of winter. Their coats thicken, darkening in some places, paling in others, blending more seamlessly with the snowy world that will soon arrive. To the tribe, wolves are both rivals and mirrors. Their coordination, loyalty, and shared hunger reflect aspects of human survival. When wolves thrive, humans know that the land is still alive with prey. When wolves grow desperate, their howls sharpen into warnings carried across frozen nights. The smaller creatures sense the shift long before humans do. Rabbits burrow deeper, creating layered tunnels below the soil where frost cannot reach. Their tracks become quick and erratic, as if racing against the shortening days. Birds gather in loose flocks, testing the winds, some preparing to migrate while others remain behind, adapting their diets to whatever seeds or insects they can still find. Their wings slice through cold air with urgency, and their calls resonate through the quiet forests like fleeting reminders of life before silence. Predators beyond wolves also make their presence known. A solitary cave lion leaves broad pawprints near the river's edge, its movements more cautious than in warmer seasons. Hunger pushes it into new territories, narrowing the distance between beasts and humans. The tribe reads these signs carefully. Large predators are unpredictable during the dimming season, driven by instinct to seek food in places they once avoided. Their presence reminds the tribe to remain vigilant, to guard the children closely, and to keep fires burning bright at night. Meanwhile, herds of reindeer or early elk move through the valleys in flowing, restless lines. Their antlers brush against brittle branches, knocking loose the last dry leaves. They sense the coming snow long before it appears, and their migration becomes another guide for the hunters. These animals provide meat, fur, and bone, all essential for winter survival. The tribe watches them with respect, knowing that each hunt must be carried out with care. Too few kills may lead to starvation, but too many could deplete the herds before spring. The ground itself reveals clues through the behavior of insects and scavengers. Beetles retreat into bark crevices, and carrion birds circle more frequently, anticipating the struggles that winter will bring to all creatures. Every sign contributes to the tribe's understanding of the shifting world. Nothing in nature acts without meaning, and prehistoric humans have learned to listen with their eyes, ears, and instincts. As the days grow shorter, the balance between predator and prey intensifies. The dimming world pushes all species toward a shared urgency, each adapting in ways that reveal ancient patterns passed down through countless generations. Some animals disappear entirely, entering long periods of hibernation deep within caves or tree roots. Their absence leaves a strange emptiness in the world, a silence that stretches into the cold months like a memory waiting for renewal. At night, the tribe hears these changes more vividly. The sharpening calls of wolves echo across frozen plains, sometimes near, sometimes far. The heavy steps of mammoths rumble like distant storms. Owls glide overhead, silent shadows hunting the small creatures scurrying under the frost. Each sound is a thread in the vast tapestry of winter's approach, weaving tension, wonder, and caution into the air. The tribe sits around their fires, speaking quietly about the animals they've observed. The elders interpret each sign with practiced wisdom. The mammoth's earlier migration means harsher storms, the wolves' tighter packs mean prey is moving farther away, the deepened rabbit burrows hint at colder nights, the nervous birds foretell strong winds. These interpretations are not superstition but survival, shaped by centuries of watching how beasts respond to the world's dimming light. Yet these creatures are more than just indicators of winter, they are companions in the ancient story of life itself. The tribe respects them deeply, seeing in their struggles reflections of their own. Humans do not exist apart from the beasts of the dimming world, they move together through cycles of scarcity and abundance, through fear and resilience, through endings and new beginnings. As the frost strengthens and the sun shrinks further away, the tribe feels the weight of the season approaching. But they also feel a strange kinship with the animals that walk the land beside them. Each creature, from the tiniest insect to the towering mammoth, faces the same truth: winter tests all living things. And through observing them, through learning from their adaptations and patterns, the tribe steels itself for the long, cold story ahead. The dimming world belongs to more than humans, it belongs to every beating heart, every watchful eye, every creature that must endure the tightening grasp of the coming dark. In the ancient world, fire is more than a tool, it is a living companion, a fragile guardian, and the heart of every tribe. As winter approaches and darkness thickens across the land, the responsibility of tending this sacred flame falls upon the fire keepers. These chosen individuals, often elders with steady hands, women with deep ancestral memory, or youth entrusted with their first great duty, hold a role that blends practicality with spirituality. To them, keeping the fire alive is not merely survival, it is an act of devotion, a promise to their people, and a thread binding the present to the memories of those who came before. The fire keeper's day begins before the tribe opens its eyes. In the cold gray hours before dawn, when the world is still wrapped in silence, they kneel beside the embers from the night before. The last sparks glow faintly beneath layers of ash, like tiny hearts still beating after a long struggle. The fire keeper gently blows on them, coaxing them back to life. Each breath is careful, measured, almost reverent. With practiced motion, they arrange twigs and thin slivers of bark, feeding the embers until flames flicker into existence. The fire grows slowly, crackling back into strength, pushing away the shadows that crouched around the camp during the night. To the tribe, this moment is more than warmth, it is reassurance. When the first flames leap upward, families stir from their shelters, children rub sleep from their eyes, and the smell of smoke brings a sense of safety. Fire is home, memory, protection. Without it, the night would swallow them, predators would stalk freely, and food would remain cold and indigestible. Fire makes winter survivable. Fire makes humanity human. Throughout the day, fire keepers maintain a watchful eye. Even as hunters venture out and gatherers move to the forest edges, the fire keepers remain near the hearth, tending to the steady pulse of the flame. They understand its moods, how it behaves when hungry, when wind tries to suffocate it, when damp wood threatens to overwhelm it with smoke. The fire keepers can tell if a storm is coming simply by the way the flames lean or sputter. Their connection to fire is instinctive, trained through years of observation and the passing down of sacred techniques. Stories circulate among the tribe that long ago, before memory had shape, the first fire keeper stole the flame from beneath the wings of a great bird or from the heart of a lightning-scarred tree. Some tales say fire was a gift from the ancestors, others claim it was born from the earth's fury. Regardless of origin, all agree on one truth: the fire is alive. It responds to care and neglect. It can comfort or destroy. It is unpredictable, powerful, and deserving of respect. When night falls, the role of the fire keepers becomes even more critical. Darkness presses against the edges of the camp like a living thing, stretching its cold fingers toward the warmth at the center. The surrounding forest comes alive with nocturnal sounds, snapping branches, distant howls, the quiet padding of unseen creatures. Within this vast uncertainty, the fire becomes a circle of safety. Its light keeps predators hesitant, its heat keeps frost from creeping into sleeping mats, and its smoke disguises the scent of the tribe from wandering beasts. The fire keepers sit close to the flames, feeding them in intervals, never letting them diminish too far. They carry sharpened sticks, ready to stir the coals if the fire slumbers. Sometimes they hum low chants taught by ancestors, believing it strengthens the connection between flame and clan. These chants echo softly into the night, blending with the crackle of burning wood, forming a rhythm that comforts those drifting into sleep. There is a certain loneliness to the fire keeper's duty, a quiet isolation in watching while others rest. Yet there is also pride. They sit at the center of the tribe's survival, holding flame against a world built of cold and darkness. Their watchfulness ensures that hunters can return to warmth, that children can sleep without fear, and that elders can survive another night. In their hands rests not only the fire but the tribe's collective hope. As winter deepens, keeping the fire alive becomes harder. Wood grows scarce, storms threaten to extinguish the flames, and the cold thickens until even sparks seem to struggle against its weight. The fire keepers adapt, drying wood inside shelters, carrying embers in stone bowls when the clan moves, and teaching the younger generation how to coax even the weakest ember back to life. These teachings are never taken lightly. For a child chosen to learn the fire keeper's skill, it is the beginning of a lifelong bond with the flame. On the coldest nights, when winds scream across the valley and snow swirls thickly around the shelters, the fire keepers stay awake long after the tribe has fallen asleep. They lean close to the flames, shielding them with their bodies, whispering encouragement as if speaking to a friend fighting for survival. Flames dance erratically, bending and twisting under the assault of winter's breath. Yet they endure, held steady by the hands that refuse to let them die. In these moments, the connection between human and flame reaches its purest form. Both are fragile, both persist against overwhelming forces, and both rely on each other to survive. The fire warms the tribe, and the tribe protects the fire. It is a partnership older than spoken language, older than memory, older than the stories carved into cave walls. By dawn, when the storm passes and the wind quiets, the fire still burns, smaller, perhaps, but alive. When the tribe wakes and sees the flames still glowing, they know they have survived another night of the dark year. And they know who they owe it to, the fire keepers, the silent guardians of warmth in a world preparing to freeze. The winter solstice arrives with a weight that settles over the land like a great unseen hand pressing down upon the world. To the ancient tribe, this is no ordinary night. It is the longest descent into darkness they will face all year, the moment when the sun, already weakened and distant, seems to pause on the edge of the sky before slipping into its deepest sleep. Even before the last light fades, a strange tension gathers in the air, as if the world itself anticipates something sacred and unsettling. Every living thing senses it, the trees stand rigid and quiet, birds vanish from the open sky, and the animals retreat into wary silence. The tribe prepares as the day shortens rapidly, the sun barely rising before beginning its slow fall toward the horizon again. Its glow is pale, almost sickly, casting long, stretching shadows across the valley. Fires burn earlier than usual, a defensive warmth against the chilling void creeping over the earth. People move with purpose, checking shelters, gathering last bits of firewood, sharing dried berries and strips of meat. Yet everything feels different, heavier, because this day marks the threshold between what is known and what lies concealed in the darkest reaches of winter. As the final hour of light approaches, the tribe climbs the familiar ridge overlooking the frozen plains. This ritual has been carried out for generations, though its origins are half forgotten, tucked into the folds of memory and story. They gather not to worship the sun but to witness its struggle, to honor its endurance as it sinks lower each year, only to return stronger when the seasons allow it. The children cling to their mothers, wide-eyed, sensing the solemnity without fully understanding it. The sun hangs low, trembling above the horizon like a dying ember. The sky is painted in muted purples, deep reds, and soft bones of orange, yet even this beauty carries a somber undertone. The elders begin to murmur old chants, their voices low and rhythmic, rising and falling like the breath of a slumbering giant. These chants are not spells but remembrances, fragments of ancestral wisdom meant to remind the tribe that darkness is part of the cycle, an enemy to respect but not fear. The younger members listen with quiet reverence, letting the cadence of the chant seep into their bones. As the sun finally touches the horizon, a collective stillness overtakes the tribe. No one speaks. No one moves. Even the winds seem to hold back, waiting. The moment feels suspended, stretched thin across time. Then, slowly, almost reluctantly, the sun slips beneath the edge of the world, and the sky darkens with breathtaking speed. The longest day ends, the longest night begins. Darkness spreads like water poured across the land, filling every hollow, swallowing every ridge, pooling between trees. It seems to thicken the very air, turning the familiar landscape into a realm of shadows and unspoken fears. This night is unlike any other, not merely absence of light, but a deep, enveloping presence that presses close to the skin and breath. The tribe can feel it lingering at the edges of their vision, watching, waiting. They descend the ridge in silence, returning to camp as the moon rises weakly, offering little comfort. Torches flicker in the wind, casting trembling shapes that distort and stretch across the snow-covered ground. The fire at the heart of the camp burns brighter than ever, fed constantly by the fire keepers who understand the importance of this night. The flames crackle sharply, resisting the cold with fierce determination, their sparks rising like tiny stars desperate to join the sky. Inside the largest shelter, the tribe gathers for the solstice vigil. This is not a celebration but a moment of unity and endurance. Elders sit closest to the fire, wrapped in heavy furs, their weathered faces illuminated by the shifting glow. Parents keep their children close, offering comfort and warmth. Hunters sit with quiet alertness, hands resting on weapons in case the dark stirs with unseen danger. The elders tell the story that has been passed down through countless winters, the tale of the dark years beginning. They speak of a time when the sun nearly vanished forever, when the world froze so deeply that even rivers cracked like broken bones. They speak of ancestors who walked through endless nights, surviving only through fire and unity. These stories serve not to frighten but to remind the tribe that hardship is shared across generations, and survival is the inheritance of those who refuse to surrender. The night deepens further, heavy and absolute. Outside, the world is eerily quiet. No wolves howl, no birds flutter, not even the trees creak. The silence itself becomes a presence, a vast and ancient force pressing against the walls of their shelter. The tribe listens to it with cautious respect, knowing that winter's spirits walk strongly on solstice nights, moving through the darkness with unseen purpose. Yet within that silence, within the thick veil of cold and night, something profound emerges, a sense of unity, of shared vulnerability and strength. The tribe feels connected not only to one another but to all who have lived before them, all who will live after. The solstice becomes a reminder that even in the longest, darkest night, there is endurance. There is memory. There is a spark that refuses to fade. Hours pass slowly, the fire burning steadily, the dark lingering unbroken around them. But the tribe does not despair. They wait. They endure. They breathe together, trusting the rhythm of the earth even when the sun's promise feels distant and uncertain. For they know that after the longest night, the light, however faint, will return. And that knowledge, that ancient certainty, is enough to carry them through until dawn touches the world again. The coldest nights of the early winter drive the tribe deeper into the landscape in search of warmth and meaning, leading them toward the ancient caves carved by time and water beneath the earth. These caves are not merely shelters, they are sanctuaries, places where the boundary between the living and the ancestral feels thin, where breath echoes against stone as if replying to the living. As the dark year begins, the tribe turns to these hidden chambers to perform rituals that help them face the long shadows ahead. Entering a cave is like stepping into the memory of the world, a place where the earth itself seems to inhale and exhale through narrow passages and quiet chambers. The entrance to the cave stands like the mouth of a great slumbering beast, cold air flowing outward in steady breaths. Torches flicker as they are carried inside, their flames dancing along walls darkened by time. The first steps always bring a quiet shiver, not from fear, but from reverence. Every sound becomes amplified, the crackle of a torch, the shuffle of feet, the soft murmur of voices. It feels as though the cave listens, absorbing every noise into its depths. The tribe believes these caverns hold the presence of their ancestors, guiding spirits, and ancient forces that shape the world beyond human comprehension. As they travel deeper, the light from outside fades completely, replaced by the warm glow of torch fire reflecting off stone. Shadows stretch and warp across uneven walls, creating shapes that move with almost lifelike grace. In these forms, early humans see more than random patterns, they see stories, warnings, and visions. Some shadows resemble great animals long vanished, others appear as human figures, their outlines shifting with each movement of the flame. The cave becomes a living canvas, one that reveals secrets only to those who know how to look. At the heart of the main chamber, the tribe gathers around a natural stone platform polished smooth by countless generations. This chamber holds markings, carvings, handprints, and paintings, left by ancestors who entered the same space during winters long forgotten. The red and black pigments swirl into shapes of mammoths, lions, and human figures holding spears or dancing in circles. Some drawings are faded, others freshened with new lines each winter. To the tribe, these pictures are more than memories of hunts or depictions of beasts, they are doorways to understanding, symbols of courage, warnings against despair, and celebrations of survival. The ritual begins with silence. The fire keepers place torch after torch around the chamber, giving the space a warm amber glow. The air fills with the scent of burning resin, thick and sweet, clinging to every surface. The tribe forms a circle, each person placing a hand upon the ground to acknowledge the earth beneath them. This gesture symbolizes humility, an understanding that human life is small compared to the vast forces at play. The chanting starts softly, led by the elders whose voices tremble with age but carry deep authority. Their chants are wordless at times, relying on rhythm rather than language, echoing through the chamber in waves. The sound reverberates off the stone, creating harmonies that feel otherworldly. Even the youngest members of the tribe fall silent, mesmerized by the rising and falling vibrations that seem to awaken the cave itself. In this sound, they feel connected to the countless generations who chanted the same tones, seeking courage in winters far colder than this one. Some tribe members approach the wall paintings, adding new pigment with brushes made of animal hair or fingers dipped in crushed minerals mixed with fat. These additions often depict dreams seen during long nights, successful hunts, or visions granted by ancestors. Each mark is deliberate, carrying meaning known only to the one who paints it. The process is slow and intimate, a dialogue between human and stone. The new images join the old, merging with centuries of expression into a single tapestry of living memory. Further into the ritual, a group of designated tribe members performs a dance that mimics the movements of animals, graceful mammoth strides, swift deer leaps, the stalking posture of predators. Their shadows stretch across the walls, merging with the painted figures, creating a shifting interplay of light that blurs the line between the living and the symbolic. For these few moments, the cave feels transformed into a world where humans and beasts share the same breath, the same story. After the dance, the tribe shares a quiet moment of reflection. The cave hums softly with residual energy from the chants and movements. Some individuals sit alone, pressing their hands against the stone as though hoping to feel the pulse of the earth. Others whisper prayers or gratitude to the ancestors, asking for guidance through the challenges that winter will bring. Children rest their heads on their parents' laps, comforted by the warmth of the fire and the gentle echoes surrounding them. Before leaving, the fire keepers light a small ceremonial flame in a carved hollow near the chamber's center. This flame is meant to honor the spirit of the cave and act as a beacon of protection for the tribe. It burns slowly, feeding on resin and dried moss, casting a steady glow long after the tribe departs. The elders believe this flame invites the ancestors to walk with the tribe during the darkest nights, offering unseen guidance and strength. As the tribe exits the cave, the cold night air greets them with sharp clarity. The stars overhead seem brighter after the enclosed glow of the torchlit chamber. Their breaths rise in pale clouds, but their hearts feel steadier, warmed by the rituals they have performed. The cave behind them seems to exhale once more, settling back into its ancient silence. The tribe returns to their camp carrying more than fire and warmth. They carry echoes of a deeper world, whispers of ancestral wisdom, and the quiet reassurance that even in the darkest season, they are not alone. The first true hunts of the cold season begin under a sky washed in pale, icy light. Dawn barely warms the horizon, offering only a weak glow that spreads sluggishly across the frozen plains. The hunters rise before the rest of the tribe, their bodies wrapped tightly in thick fur, their breaths rising in ghostly clouds that drift and vanish. This season demands more from them than any other. Food grows scarce, prey becomes unpredictable, and every step across the frost-hardened earth carries risk. Yet the tribe depends on them, on their instincts, their courage, their mastery of reading the land when winter begins to tighten its grip. The pale cold transforms the world into a vast echo chamber. Footsteps crack sharply, the crunch of snow echoes against cliffs, even the softest exhale feels loud in the frozen silence. This heightened soundscape works both for and against the hunters. They can detect distant movement more clearly, but their own presence is harder to conceal. Every motion must be deliberate, every sound measured. Their senses sharpen, adapting to an environment that shows no mercy. As they move away from camp, the hunters scan the land for signs of life. Tracks frozen into the ground reveal where animals passed in the night, the deep, confident prints of reindeer, the skittish zigzags of hares, the heavy, slow impressions of a solitary bison struggling through the cold. Frost outlines each track with crystalline precision, making them easier to read but also proving that prey is moving faster and farther than before. Hunger drives animals, just as it drives humans, pushing all living creatures into a dangerous dance of survival. The first hunt is often the most difficult. The cold stiffens muscles, slows breath, and numbs fingers even beneath layers of hide and fur. The hunters test their spears, tightening bindings, adjusting weights. They exchange few words. Communication relies on glances, gestures, and instinct honed over years of practice. Their bond is quiet yet powerful, built through shared hardship and the knowledge that they hold the fate of the entire tribe in their hands. They begin by following the reindeer tracks toward a dense cluster of frost-coated trees. The air grows colder beneath the canopy, the shade holding on to night like a memory that refuses to fade. Every branch glitters with thin ice, and when the wind moves through them, the forest chimes with brittle music. This sound unsettles the younger hunters, but the elders press on with calm determination. They know the forest's strange harmony is harmless, but its stillness is not. Silence like this often means predators lurk nearby. Hours pass before they find the herd, leaner than in autumn, their coats thick but bodies tired from constant searching for food. The hunters crouch low behind a fallen log, studying the animal's pattern. One reindeer limps slightly, its hind leg favoring the ground. It becomes the chosen target, not out of cruelty, but necessity. The tribe's survival depends on efficient, respectful hunting. Taking down the strongest animal could endanger the herd, taking the weakest ensures balance is maintained. The approach must be silent. The hunters spread out, flanking the herd from multiple angles. Frost cracks beneath their feet, but the gentle wind covers some of the noise. The lead hunter signals with a subtle tilt of the head, and the group moves in unison, their bodies flowing through the cold air with purpose. The young reindeer senses something amiss, its ears twitching, breath steaming in soft puffs. It takes a hesitant step, but before it can flee, the hunters strike, a coordinated burst of movement breaking the frozen stillness. Spears fly, slicing through the pale morning light. The reindeer falters, stumbles, and falls. The rest of the herd scatters, their hooves thundering across the icy ground. The sound reverberates through the trees like distant drums, fading only when the animals vanish over a slope. The hunters approach the fallen creature with reverence, surrounding it quietly. They place hands gently on its flank, offering silent gratitude. Life given, life preserved, such balance is sacred. But winter hunts are rarely so clean. On their return journey, the hunters hear the unmistakable howl of wolves, closer than before. The scent of fresh blood draws predators quickly, and the hunters must work fast. They lash the reindeer to a sturdy pole, distributing its weight among their strongest members. Their breath grows rapid, urgency replaces solemnity. Wolves respect humans, but hunger blurs those boundaries. A pack emboldened by cold may test their courage. The hunters move swiftly, their pace steady but cautious. The howls grow louder, weaving through the wind in eerie harmony. Shadows flicker at the forest's edge, gray shapes moving with predatory grace. The hunters tighten their formation, spears angled outward, faces tense but resolute. For a moment, it seems the wolves may advance, but the scent of human resolve dissuades them. The pack watches from a distance, then drifts back into the wilderness, waiting for easier prey. By the time the hunters reach the camp, the sun has risen only a handful of degrees, offering no real warmth. But the tribe celebrates anyway. Children rush forward, faces flushed with relief. Elders nod in approval. The fire keepers prepare to smoke and preserve the meat, ensuring it lasts through the early weeks of winter. The hunters finally relax, exhaustion settling into their limbs, yet pride glowing gently in their hearts. This is only the beginning. Winter's cold will deepen, hunts will grow more perilous, and the risks will multiply. But for now, the tribe has food. For now, they have hope. And the hunters, hardened by the pale cold, stand ready to face whatever the dark season brings next. Inside the shelters, where firelight flickers across curved walls of hide and bone, the emotional heart of the tribe beats quietly in the care of mothers, infants, and elders. As winter deepens and the world outside grows harsher by the day, the hearth becomes more than a source of warmth, it becomes a sanctuary of continuity, a place where the fragile threads of life are protected against the cold. Here, the rhythms of survival shift from the swift, urgent movements of hunters to the slow, nurturing pulse of those who tend to the tribe's youngest and oldest members. These individuals, though stationary, are as essential to survival as any hunt, for they guard the future while honoring the past. The mothers rise early each morning, long before the cold begins to loosen its grip on the land. Their hands, though stiff with frost, move with practiced gentleness as they wrap infants in layers of fur and soft leather. The little ones stir with soft noises, their breath forming tiny clouds in the dim air. Every gesture carries quiet importance, a touch that checks for warmth, a gaze that assures safety, a whispered hum that soothes and reminds the children they are not alone. The mothers understand that winter is as much an emotional trial as a physical one. Fear can weaken the spirit as surely as hunger weakens the body. Nearby, expectant mothers sit close to the fire, their bellies rounded beneath layers of hide, each movement careful and deliberate. Pregnancy in winter is both a challenge and a symbol of hope. The unborn carry the promise of spring, a living reminder that life continues even when the world outside seems to retreat into silence. The tribe watches over these women with a blend of awe and protection. They are shielded from heavy work, fed the warmest portions of meals, and given a place of honor near the central hearth. Their presence softens the hardest days, reminding everyone that endurance is not just for the present but for generations yet to come. Elders, too, spend their time near the hearth, sharing stories and wisdom with those who gather close. Their voices crack with age, but their minds remain sharp, carrying memories of winters far colder and more unforgiving. Their tales speak of ancestors who survived by wit, unity, and courage, tales that offer strength to those who listen. Children sit wide-eyed, absorbing lessons woven into each story: how to build stronger shelters, how to read the wind, how to sense the turning of the seasons even when the sky remains dark. These stories bind the tribe together, creating a bridge between old and young, reminding everyone that they are part of a lineage of survivors. Throughout the day, the hearth becomes a hub of quiet activity. Women sew new garments from furs brought back by the hunters, stitching with bone needles and sinew thread. Their fingers move with a steady rhythm, repairing tears, reinforcing seams, and shaping clothing that will protect the tribe from the worst of the storms to come. Others grind dried berries into powders or crush root remains into medicinal pastes used to ease coughs and soothe aches. Even the children help in small ways, fetching firewood, carrying water when ice permits, sorting feathers or reeds for later use. The shelter hums with soft sounds, crackling fire, quiet conversations, the gentle cooing of infants, the rasp of tools against hide. These sounds create a cocoon of warmth within an otherwise harsh world. Outside, the wind howls through the valley, sweeping snow into glittering swirls that bury tracks and erase landmarks. But within the hearth's glow, time seems slower, kinder. Even the firelight appears to burn with purpose, casting golden patterns onto the faces of those gathered around it. When night falls, the hearth becomes a center of emotional refuge. The children nestle together beneath shared blankets, lulled to sleep by the rhythmic hum the mothers use to calm them. The fire keepers add extra logs to strengthen the flame, ensuring that it burns through the darkest hours. Elders lean close to whisper blessings over the sleeping children, their words drifting into the fire as embers rise like tiny sparks of hope. Mothers take turns watching through the night, checking the warmth of bundles, adjusting blankets, and listening for any sign of distress. Their vigilance is quiet but unwavering. They know that winter is especially unkind to the smallest among them. A single cold draft, a sudden fever, or a stray ember could spell danger. Yet they face these fears with steady hearts, strengthened by the knowledge that their care sustains the tribe's future. Sometimes, during the deepest hours of night, when the wind howls madly against the hide walls, the mothers gather in a circle around the fire after the children have fallen asleep. They speak softly, sharing their worries, hopes, and memories. They talk of loved ones lost in previous winters, of births that brought joy, of dreams for the coming spring. Their voices blend together, creating a quiet chorus of strength. In these moments, the hearth becomes not only a place of survival but a sacred space where emotional burdens are shared and eased. Elders watch these women with deep respect. They understand better than anyone how vital the mothers are to the tribe's endurance. Hunters may feed the tribe, warriors may protect it, but mothers carry its soul through the harshest nights. Their resilience becomes a light as essential as the fire itself. By dawn, when pale sunlight creeps through the seams of the shelter, the hearth still burns steadily, tended with dedication through another long winter's night. Infants sleep peacefully, elders rest in quiet dignity, and mothers prepare once more for the day's tasks. The tribe wakes to the warmth they preserved, not only the warmth of fire, but the warmth of care, unity, and the quiet strength that holds a community together in the heart of the coldest season. They are the silent guardians of life in a world ruled by frost. The mothers of the midwinter hearth keep the tribe alive, not through strength of arm, but through strength of spirit. In the ancient world, the turning of the year does not wait for spring or warmth, it begins in the deepest cold, in the longest nights when the sun seems weakest and life balances on a fragile edge. For the tribe, this moment marks the start of what they call the dark year, a cycle not defined by celebration but by endurance and reverence. As the solstice night fades and a faint, pale dawn touches the horizon, the tribe senses a subtle but profound shift in the world's rhythm. The light has returned, but only barely, as if testing its strength before fully committing to the ascent. The beginning of the dark year is slow, cautious, and filled with a tension that echoes through every breath of winter air. The elders gather shortly after dawn, their faces creased with both memory and responsibility. They speak of ancient traditions, of how their ancestors measured the dark year not by festivals or feasts but by changes in the earth itself, the way the wind carried sound, the patterns of frost along tree branches, the subtle shift in the behavior of animals. According to their teachings, this is the time when the world is most vulnerable. The sun, in its lowest arc, leaves the earth exposed to spirits of hunger, spirits of cold, and forces older than any living memory. The tribe does not fear these forces blindly, they acknowledge them as part of the natural cycle, as challenges meant to test the resilience of all living things. The declaration of the dark year begins with a ritual known only to those who have lived through many winters. The tribe gathers in a wide circle around the central fire, its flames bright against the pale morning. The fire keepers fuel it steadily with resin-rich wood so the flames rise tall, defying the icy wind that sweeps through camp. Each member of the tribe, old, young, strong, frail, places a hand over their heart before extending it toward the fire. It is a gesture of unity, a silent promise to stand together through the trials ahead. The ritual continues with the passing of a carved stone, worn smooth by generations of hands. The stone represents the spirit of endurance, the collective strength of those who survived winters past. As it moves from person to person, each individual whispers a word or breath into it, leaving behind a piece of their determination. When the stone returns to the elders, it is buried beneath the fire pit, symbolizing the planting of strength at the heart of the tribe's home. After the ritual, life resumes with renewed urgency. The beginning of the dark year marks a period of intensified work. Hunters sharpen their tools, inspecting each spear tip and ensuring bowstrings remain taut despite the damp and cold. They practice silent movement across frozen terrain, knowing hunts will grow more dangerous as prey dwindles and predators become more desperate. The women tend to the stores, checking the smoked meat, dried berries, and root bundles for signs of spoiling. Even a small loss could shift the balance between survival and starvation. Young members of the tribe observe closely, learning by watching the adults move with purpose. They carry wood from the forest, gather snow to melt for water, or help patch the hide stretched tight over shelter frames. Each task, no matter how small, reinforces the collective effort demanded by the dark year. The tribe knows that winter respects no weakness. To survive, every hand must contribute, every heart must remain steady. Yet the dark year is not only a time of fear and labor. It is also a time for reflection, for strengthening bonds, and for acknowledging the deep connection between human life and the rhythms of the earth. As daylight weakens each afternoon, the tribe gathers around the fire to share knowledge and stories. Elders speak of past winters where they stood on the edge of despair, only to find unexpected hope. Mothers tell gentle stories to calm the children, stories where winter spirits test the cleverness of heroes or where animals guide lost travelers home. These tales weave together fear and comfort, reminding everyone that darkness does not erase meaning, it reveals it. As the tribe adjusts to the early days of the dark year, subtle changes ripple across the environment. The cold grows sharper, cutting through fur layers with increasing insistence. Streams freeze more fully, their surfaces forming clear ice that reflects the sky like a mirror. Snow begins to accumulate, not in chaotic storms yet, but in soft layers that gradually smother the earth's color. Wildlife grows scarcer, creating uneasy tension that hangs in the air. The howls of wolves become more frequent, echoing across the frozen valley each night. Their hunger is a reminder that all creatures share the same struggle. The tribe marks these changes carefully, reading them as signs of the winter's temperament. A fierce dark year demands strict rationing, more intense vigilance, and deeper unity. A gentler one allows for occasional breaks, small feasts, or added time for teaching and crafting. This year, however, feels unpredictable. The frost is thick, the days short, and the wind restless. The tribe senses this winter will test them in new ways, in ways their elders have prepared them for but cannot fully predict. As night falls once more, swift, silent, and absolute, the tribe gathers again around the fire. The flames cast long shadows, making the shelter walls flicker with shapes that seem alive. There is a quiet understanding among them, the dark year has begun. They will face hunger, cold, uncertainty, and perhaps loss. But they will also face these trials together, with the strength of generations behind them and the hope of spring waiting far beyond the horizon. In this moment, as fire crackles and darkness presses close, the tribe accepts the weight of the season. The dark year is not simply endured, it is lived, felt, and ultimately survived through unity, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between humanity and the ancient earth beneath their feet. Winter nights in the ancient world stretch long and deep, filling the land with a silence so profound it feels almost alive. As the dark year settles fully into the valley, the tribe becomes increasingly attuned to the subtleties of the night, the shifting shadows, the faint sounds carried on the wind, and the strange sensations that accompany the moon's pale glow. In these long hours, when fire is the only barrier between warmth and the void, ancient people believe that the boundary between the living and the unseen grows thin. Spirits, ancestors, and other forces older than memory are thought to wander beneath the moonlight, observing, warning, or guiding those who remain awake. The belief in these spirits is not born from fear alone but from generations of experience. Winter transforms the world, muting familiar landmarks and creating illusions where none existed before. A tree becomes a figure. A drifting shadow seems to move with intention. The wind carries whispers that resemble soft voices. For the tribe, these moments are not dismissed as tricks of the mind, they are interpreted as signs, messages from beings that dwell just beyond the edge of the visible world. When the moon rises full and bright, its light spreads across the snow like a silver blanket. The land glows with an otherworldly radiance, and the tribe moves quietly, as though afraid to disturb something sacred. Elders explain that on such nights, the spirits walk freely, drawn by the moon's cold brilliance. Some spirits are believed to be benevolent ancestors, checking on their descendants, ensuring their fires burn strong and their hearts remain united. Others are restless wanderers, remnants of forgotten ages, shadows of those lost in ancient winters. And some, the elders warn, are watchers of balance, ensuring that humans do not take more from the world than they can give back. Inside the shelter, the tribe gathers close to the fire, its flames reflecting in their eyes. The light flickers across their faces, illuminating worry and wonder in equal measure. Children listen intently as their parents tell stories about the spirits that roam outside. There is the tale of the Pale Hunter, a ghostly figure seen during the harshest winters, said to guide lost hunters back to safety, or lead them astray if their hearts lack courage. There is the story of the Whispering Mother, a gentle spirit who appears near newborns, offering blessings of warmth and health. And then there are tales of darker presences, those drawn to fear, envy, or despair, entities the tribe must guard against through unity and strong fire. The fire keepers play an essential role during nights like these. They feed the flames with steady hands, ensuring the fire burns bright enough to repel unwelcome spirits but soft enough not to offend the benevolent ones. The elders perform quiet rituals, sprinkling herbal mixtures into the flames, creating scented smoke that curls upward like a signal to the unseen world. The scent calms the tribe, filling the shelter with a sense of protection and connection to traditions far older than any individual memory. Outside, the moonlit world transforms further. Snow sparkles like powdered stars. Shadows move with slow, graceful shifts, creating the illusion of figures passing across the plains. Wolves howl, their voices rising in layered harmony that trembles through the night air. To the tribe, the wolf's song is a conversation between the living and the spirit world. Some believe wolves can see the spirits directly, reacting to their presence with reverence or warning. When the wolves howl long and deep, the tribe listens carefully, interpreting the sounds for clues about the night's unseen movements. There are nights when hunters returning late swear they saw figures standing at the tree line, tall shapes with elongated limbs, glowing eyes, or drifting forms that vanish when approached. They describe the sensation of being watched, or of footsteps crunching softly behind them, only to turn and find nothing there. The tribe does not question these accounts. Winter sharpens their senses, and the consistency of these encounters through generations gives weight to their stories. Some nights bring unusual phenomena, sudden gusts of wind that extinguish torches without warning, frost patterns that form intricate symbols on the walls of shelters, or animals behaving strangely, staring at nothing, refusing to move, or circling the camp with tense curiosity. The elders interpret each sign with careful consideration. A sudden extinguished flame may signal the presence of a wandering ancestor. A frost symbol may be a warning to conserve resources. Animals acting strangely might indicate a hidden threat or a shift in the natural balance. Yet not all spirit encounters inspire fear. On certain nights, when the moon is low and the sky clear, a profound sense of peace settles over the land. The tribe describes these nights as moments when the spirits of ancestors walk gently among them, offering comfort rather than caution. Dreams become vivid, filled with images of past loved ones or visions of spring yet to come. Children wake feeling oddly calm, as if embraced by unseen arms. Even the harsh wind softens, whispering through the cracks of the shelter instead of wailing. The tribe's respect for these spirits shapes their behavior throughout winter. They avoid speaking ill of the dead, treat the land carefully, and maintain their fire with consistent devotion. Disrespecting the natural balance, overhunting, wasting resources, or neglecting rituals, is believed to invite misfortune. Respecting it, however, keeps harmony with both the physical and spiritual worlds. As dawn approaches, the moonlight fades slowly, retreating from the snow-covered earth. The presence of spirits lifts with the light, leaving behind only memories and a lingering sense of connection. The tribe emerges from their shelters into the pale morning, breathing deeply of the cold air. They know the spirits walked among them during the night, watching, guiding, reminding them of their place in the great cycle. For in winter, when night dominates the sky and the world moves between silence and shadow, the boundary between seen and unseen becomes delicate. And the tribe, shaped by countless seasons of hardship, understands that survival comes not only from strength and fire, but from acknowledging the spirits that walk in moonlight, silent companions in the long journey through the dark year. Winter slows the world until even the smallest moments feel stretched, elongated, suspended in cold air. As the dark season deepens, the tribe enters a period of forced stillness, a rare quiet that settles over daily life like a heavy but thoughtful blanket. Movement becomes restricted, hunts grow infrequent, the days shorten until light feels like a brief visitor rather than a companion. In this long pause, the tribe begins to experience time differently. What once passed quickly now unfolds with deliberate slowness, and in that slowness, thoughts deepen. Winter becomes not only a season of survival but a season of reflection, shaping the tribe's inner world as profoundly as it shapes the outer landscape. In the mornings, when the sun barely grazes the horizon, the tribe gathers near the fire, warming stiff hands while the world outside remains frozen and silent. Frost clings to every surface, forming intricate patterns on hides, stones, and the edges of spear shafts. These delicate formations captivate the children, who trace them with breathless wonder, observing how each shape seems unique, never repeating, always shifting. The elders explain that frost, like time, leaves marks that fade, only to reappear in new forms. This comparison sparks quiet contemplation, a reminder that the world is always moving even when it appears still. As days blur together, the tribe finds themselves slipping into a rhythm dictated not by activity, but by introspection. Conversations become slower, more thoughtful. People listen more deeply, noticing the subtle changes in each other's voices, the quiet emotions hiding behind tired eyes. The long nights encourage dreaming, and with these dreams come stories, vivid visions of ancestors, past hunts, distant lands, and moments from childhood that resurface with surprising clarity. Winter draws memories upward, like seeds lifted through frozen soil, revealing layers of personal and communal history. The elders embrace this season as a time for teaching. While movement outside the shelters is limited, minds are free to wander, to question, to learn. Young members gather around them, absorbing lessons about the cycles of life, the patterns of stars, and the deep meanings hidden within nature. The elders speak of time as a river, a flowing force that does not freeze even when water does. They describe how the river of time carries all beings from the moment of birth to the moment of death, and how every choice, every action, creates ripples that spread outward into the lives of others. Winter, they say, allows the tribe to see these ripples more clearly. Inside the shelter, the fire burns steadily, its light shifting across the walls in slow, hypnotic waves. The tribe watches these movements as if reading stories within them. The flames become symbols of passing time, dancing, rising, fading, yet always present. Some individuals sit quietly for long stretches, gazing into the fire, their minds drifting through memories and possibilities. These moments of silence are not empty, they are full of thought, emotion, and understanding. Winter gives them permission to look inward in ways impossible during the busy seasons of hunting, gathering, and travel. Even the land outside seems to embody a new kind of time. The frozen river near the camp, once swift and loud, now lies silent beneath a thick layer of ice. Its surface reflects the sky like a polished mirror, capturing the pale sun and the faint shimmer of stars. Yet beneath the ice, water continues to move, hidden but constant. The tribe often visits the river to listen, placing their ears against the frozen surface. Sometimes they hear faint gurgles or distant cracks, reminders that time, like water, never truly stops. It simply changes form, retreating from sight but continuing its journey. Winter becomes a teacher in other ways as well. The cold slows the body, forcing people to pace themselves, conserve energy, and act with intention. Every trip outside requires planning, every task inside requires patience. The tribe learns to accept slowness, to find meaning in it. They begin to notice details often overlooked, how light shifts throughout the day, how the fire breathes when new logs are added, how snow settles into patterns shaped by invisible winds. These observations deepen their understanding of the world, strengthening the quiet bond between humans and nature. During long nights, when sleep refuses to come easily, members of the tribe lie awake listening to the distant crack of freezing earth, the whisper of wind against the shelters, and the rhythmic breathing of those around them. These sounds become a kind of music, soft, layered, and strangely comforting. Time seems to stretch between each breath, each sound, creating a feeling that the night could last forever. Yet within this vast stillness, the tribe feels connected, held in a shared moment that transcends individual experience. Children ask questions that reveal their growing awareness of time. Why does winter make memories stronger? Why do dreams feel real? Why does the sun stay away so long? The elders answer with stories, some poetic, some practical. They explain that winter slows the world so the mind can catch up, allowing thoughts to settle like snow and reshape the landscape within. They describe how ancestors believed that winter opened the door to deeper wisdom, offering insights that vanished when spring's activity returned. As the days continue, the tribe begins to sense subtle changes in their own perception. Moments that once felt burdensome now carry weight and purpose. Conversations linger longer. Silence feels meaningful rather than empty. Winter, with all its harshness, offers a chance to understand themselves and one another more intimately than at any other time of year. By the time the season reaches its midpoint, the tribe realizes that the frozen world has given them something precious, a new relationship with time itself. The dark year may be unforgiving, but within its cold grasp lies an opportunity to reflect, to learn, to grow. The frozen river outside remains still, but its hidden currents persist, mirroring the flow of thoughts within each tribe member. Winter will pass, as all seasons do. But the understanding gained in this stretch of stillness, the wisdom born from looking inward, the clarity found in silence, will remain. In the frozen river of time, the tribe discovers the beauty of pausing, of breathing, of existing fully in the long, quiet moments that shape the soul. With night stretching endlessly across the frozen world, the sky becomes the tribe's greatest companion, a vast, unbroken canopy glittering with stars that seem sharper, brighter, and closer than at any other time of year. The cold air clears the heavens with crystalline precision, allowing even the faintest lights to shimmer like scattered embers across the darkness. In these long midwinter nights, the stars are not merely distant fires, they are guides, storytellers, guardians, and silent witnesses to humanity's struggle against the deepening cold. The tribe looks upward not only for navigation, but for meaning, for a sense of their place within a cosmos far larger and more mysterious than they can fully understand. Each evening, after duties are completed and the fire burns steadily, members of the tribe step outside their shelters and tilt their faces toward the heavens. Even the children, wrapped tightly in furs, point upward with wide eyes, tracing patterns they have been taught since their earliest days. Constellations are more than shapes, they are stories passed down through generations, stories that explain the origins of the world, the cycles of the seasons, and the eternal dance between light and darkness. The elders gather the younger ones close and begin their teachings. They point to a cluster of stars forming the shape of a great beast, telling how it once roamed the earth before retreating to the sky to watch over its descendants. They gesture to a line of stars resembling a hunter with raised spear, explaining how it guides real hunters during long journeys across the plains. Each star becomes a symbol, each constellation a lesson, helping the tribe interpret the world below through the stories mapped across the sky. On especially clear nights, when the moon is thin or absent, the sky reveals even more secrets. The Milky Way stretches overhead like a river of frozen light, a gleaming path that arcs from horizon to horizon. The tribe calls it the Sky Road, a place where spirits travel between worlds, carrying messages from ancestors to the living. Some say that the brightest stars represent ancient heroes who earned a place among the heavens, their deeds immortalized in the patterns above. Others believe the stars are the eyes of ancestors watching over them, offering silent comfort during the coldest nights. The hunters rely on the stars to guide them during winter journeys. They know which constellations point toward the best hunting grounds and which ones signal the approach of storms. By memorizing the positions of the stars, they navigate through forests and across frozen rivers, trusting the sky more than the landscape, which changes with every snowfall. The placement of the stars teaches them when to hunt, when to travel, and when to return home before the cold becomes too severe. In this way, the sky becomes a map, a living guidebook written in light. But the stars serve another purpose beyond practical guidance. They offer a sense of hope, a reminder that even in darkness, there is beauty. The tribe often sits together in silence, watching the stars shimmer against the cold void, feeling a connection to something greater than themselves. These moments of quiet stargazing bring a sense of calm that penetrates the harshness of winter, lifting the spirit when the weight of the season threatens to overwhelm. During the longest nights, when spirits are believed to walk the land, the stars take on additional significance. Elders claim that certain stars flicker when ancestors draw near. Children watch eagerly, trying to see the faint, momentary dimming that signals a loved one's presence. Others swear they have seen shooting stars streak across the sky, leaving glowing trails behind them. These falling stars are interpreted as omens, sometimes warnings, sometimes blessings, depending on the direction and brightness of their descent. Around the fire, the tribe tells stories of cosmic origins. One tale describes how the first fire on Earth was stolen from a star that fell into the world's earliest ocean. Another tells of a great creature who climbed the tallest tree, leaped into the sky, and became the first constellation, teaching humans that courage can transcend limits. These stories, though mythic, contain wisdom about bravery, unity, and humility before the vastness of the universe. As winter deepens, the tribe's relationship with the night sky grows more intimate. They begin to measure time not by the sun, which barely rises, but by the movement of stars across the heavens. The position of certain constellations marks the progress of the dark year, giving the tribe reassurance that even the longest winter is part of a larger cycle. Stars rise, stars set, constellations shift, and through these celestial rhythms, the tribe senses that the world continues turning, even when the earth feels frozen in place. Some nights bring breathtaking displays of shimmering lights, curtains of green, red, and violet that ripple across the sky like spirits dancing. These rare auroras fill the tribe with awe and fear. The elders interpret them as messages from the heavens, signs of great change or reminders of the power that lies beyond human comprehension. Children stare in wonder, feeling as though the sky has come alive, painting stories in light that words cannot describe. Stargazing becomes a ritual of reflection. Members of the tribe ponder their own lives while staring at the sprawling tapestry above them. They wonder how many winters their ancestors endured under the same sky. They imagine generations yet unborn who will one day look up at the same stars, telling their own stories, searching for their own meaning. The stars connect past, present, and future in a way nothing else can. By the time dawn begins to wash away the night, the tribe feels renewed. The stars fade gently, as if retreating into the folds of daylight, and the world shifts from mystery to clarity once more. The cold remains unyielding, the trials of the dark year still present, but the stars have gifted them something essential: perspective, wonder, and a sense of belonging in a universe far greater than any single life. For in the quiet of winter nights, beneath the ancient roof of stars, the tribe finds not just guidance, but comfort. The heavens remind them that even in the darkest season, light endures, scattered, distant, yet always present, waiting to be seen by those who dare to look upward. As winter reaches its merciless midpoint, the tribe enters the phase they dread most, the time known as the Great Hunger Moon. It is a period when food stores begin to shrink faster than they can be replenished, when prey becomes scarce or vanishes entirely into the frozen wilderness, and when even the strongest members of the tribe feel the creeping weight of exhaustion. The Great Hunger Moon is not merely a name but a truth etched into memory and bone, passed down through countless generations. It marks the stretch of winter that tests the spirit as deeply as it tests the body. The days grow shorter still, though it seems impossible, and even when the sun rises, its light barely touches the earth. It hangs low, cold, and distant, offering little warmth. Shadows stretch long across the camp, moving slowly as if winter itself drags time behind it. The fire burns constantly, its flames fed with wood gathered at great effort, but the warmth it offers feels smaller now, less certain. Every ember becomes precious. Meals become modest, sometimes little more than thin broth made from bones saved from earlier hunts. The tribe scrapes the last clinging bits of fat from hides, boils roots grown stiff from frost, and savors the final strips of dried meat with a reverence typically reserved for ceremony. Mothers divide portions carefully, ensuring children and elders receive enough to keep them strong. Adults often eat less than they need, choosing quiet sacrifice over the thought of a hungry child. Hunger becomes a shared ache, something felt not just individually but collectively, an invisible bond tying the tribe together. The hunters grow leaner as days pass without successful kills. Tracks are few and faint, often leading to empty forests or deceptive trails. Many animals have migrated south, hibernated, or succumbed to the same winter the tribe battles. The hunters return each evening with frost covering their brows, disappointment weighing on their shoulders. Sometimes they return with nothing at all, and the silence that follows their arrival is heavy with unspoken worry. Yet they do not give up, for they know the tribe relies on their endurance. Inside the shelters, the strain of hunger wears on the tribe in subtle but powerful ways. Children become quieter, their once playful energy subdued. Elders speak softly, conserving breath. The people move with careful efficiency, each step and gesture measured. Even laughter grows rare, not forbidden, but harder to summon in the face of thinning supplies and aching stomachs. Yet every so often, a small spark of joy appears, perhaps a child's funny comment or a memory shared by an elder, and the tribe clings to these moments as warm lights flickering in a sea of darkness. During the Great Hunger Moon, dreams take on new intensity. Night after night, tribe members dream of feasts, of warm summers, of lush forests filled with life. They dream of rivers flowing freely, of berries heavy on branches, of mammoth herds stretching across the plains. These dreams, though comforting in the moment, can leave the dreamers waking with a deeper ache, a reminder of what is temporarily lost. The elders interpret these dreams not as torment but as a sign that the spirit is reaching toward hope, pushing the mind toward images of survival rather than surrender. Still, hardship sharpens instincts. Some tribe members develop habits to distract from hunger, chewing on small pieces of leather, drinking warm water throughout the day, or focusing on repetitive tasks like sewing or carving. These small acts give their hands and minds purpose, allowing them to endure another hour, another day. The mothers continue to hum soft lullabies around the fire, melodies meant to quiet hunger pains and soothe restless hearts. Even the sound of these hums becomes a source of strength, a steady reminder of unity. One of the defining features of the Great Hunger Moon is the eerie silence of the wilderness. Even wolves grow more cautious, their howls less frequent, as though they too conserve their energy for the difficult weeks ahead. The trees groan under the weight of frost, the river remains trapped beneath thick ice, and the winds whisper through the valley without warmth. The world feels suspended, waiting for something to shift. Despite the hardships, the tribe continues their traditions. Each night, they gather around the fire to listen to stories, tales of ancestors who endured harsher winters than this one and lived to see spring's return. Stories of clever hunters who tricked the cold itself, of mothers who kept the flame alive when all seemed lost, of children who grew into leaders because they learned the value of endurance early. These stories are nourishment for the spirit, feeding courage when the body feels empty. The elders remind the people that the great hunger moon is a cycle, a necessary stretch in the rhythm of the year. Winter takes, but it also teaches. It strips away comfort so that resilience can grow. It silences the world so that the tribe can hear its own heartbeat. It tightens the margins of survival so that unity becomes not a choice but a necessity. Some nights bring small blessings. A rabbit caught near the shelter, a hidden cache of dried berries forgotten in storage, or the discovery of edible bark beneath frost-laden trees. These moments, though rare, lift the tribe's spirits and remind them that nature, even in its harshest form, still offers gifts to those who endure with respect. As the great hunger moon approaches its end, subtle signs of change begin to creep into the world. The air shifts almost imperceptibly, gaining a hint of softness beneath the cold. The sun lingers a moment longer on the horizon. Birds cry faintly in the distance, just one or two, but enough to stir hope. These are early promises that winter's grip will loosen, that hunger will not last forever. For now, the tribe holds fast, their collective strength carrying them through the hardest moon of the dark year. Hunger gnaws, cold bites, and nights stretch endlessly on, but the tribe endures. They endure because they have always endured. Because hardship is not the end, it is a passage. And beyond this passage, spring waits with open hands. As the great hunger moon deepens, the wolves grow restless, driven by their own desperate search for prey in a world where the cold devours life faster than hunger can. The tribe has long shared the plains and forests with these powerful predators, respecting their intelligence, unity, and strength. But winter sharpens every instinct, and now the wolves draw closer to the edges of human territory, testing the invisible line between coexistence and conflict. Their howls echo across the frozen valley, haunting the night with a mixture of warning, longing, and hunger, filling the tribe with a quiet, primal tension. Signs of their presence appear first in the snow. Early one morning, hunters discover a circle of pawprints around the camp, broad, deep, and fresh. The wolves had come in the night, close enough to examine the shelters, perhaps drawn by the scent of smoke or the faint aroma of the tribe's remaining stores. The hunters crouch over the tracks, reading them with practiced eyes. The prints are large, suggesting a mature pack with several strong adults. Their spacing indicates curiosity rather than aggression, but curiosity itself can be dangerous during such a season. Life for wolves is hard in the deep winter. Prey is scarce, and the cold drains their energy. Yet their resilience and cooperation make them formidable. The tribe recognizes this. They have learned much from observing wolf behavior over generations. But they also understand that desperation blurs caution for all creatures. A starving wolf will attempt what a well-fed one avoids. And a pack pushed too close to hunger will dare approach even a guarded camp. As night falls, the wolves' presence becomes impossible to ignore. Their howls rise through the air like voices in conflict, sharp barks of command, long cries of sorrow, short, urgent yelps that bounce off the trees. The sound is neither random nor meaningless, the tribe knows it as a language of the night. Children press closer to their mothers. Hunters grip their spears a little tighter. Fire keepers feed the flames with steady hands, knowing wolves fear bright, vigorous fire. Yet the wolves' cries are not merely threats. They are also mirrors, reflecting the tribe's own struggle for survival. Where the humans gather close to preserve warmth, wolves huddle together in the shadows of the forest. Where humans ration their food, wolves chase faint trails for hours in hopes of a single meal. Both species navigate the same harsh world, bound by hunger and instinct. This parallel creates a strange sense of kinship, even as tension grows between them. On one particularly cold night, the tribe hears movement near the perimeter. The hunters, already alert, move silently toward the sound. Shapes flicker in the moonlight, gray and white bodies slipping between trees with ghost-like grace. The wolves are close, closer than they have ever dared come. Their eyes reflect the firelight, glowing like scattered embers in the dark. The pack leader stands slightly ahead of the others, shoulders tense, breath rising in delicate vapor plumes. The tribe meets those glowing eyes with a mixture of caution and respect. There is a moment, brief, silent, electric, when both groups study each other. The wolves do not advance, and the humans do not draw back. The space between them freezes, not with cold, but with understanding. The wolves sense the strength of the tribe, the flames protecting them, the spears ready in their hands. The tribe senses the hunger of the wolves, their desperation, their careful calculation of risk versus reward. Finally, the wolf leader turns. The pack dissolves into the forest, silent as falling snow. The tribe exhales in collective relief, though tension remains like a faint crackle in the air. They know the wolves will return. The hunger that drives them is relentless, and the scent of food, however modest, lingers around the camp. The hunters reinforce the perimeter with sharpened stakes and heavy stones, creating barriers that serve not to harm the wolves, but to discourage them from venturing closer. The following day, the hunters set out earlier than usual. They track the wolves' movements, not to pursue conflict, but to understand where the pack travels, where they hunt, and where they rest. Knowledge becomes a shield. They discover the wolves have formed temporary dens near the edge of the frozen river, their pups hidden below the snow. The hunters exchange concerned glances. Wolf pups signal a pack with much to protect, and such packs can act with unpredictable boldness. Yet something in the scene softens the hunter's perspective. They watch a mother wolf tend to her pups, licking frost from their fur, nudging them gently with her nose. Her movements mirror the tenderness of human mothers at the midwinter hearth. The hunters withdraw quietly, leaving the family undisturbed. In that moment, respect deepens into something more profound, a recognition of shared struggle, shared love, shared devotion. Still, the tribe prepares. As night descends again, fire keepers maintain taller flames, elders recite protective chants, and hunters stand alert through the cold hours. The wolves return once more, their shadows weaving between trees, their eyes glowing. But they do not attack. They watch, they wait, they listen. Hunger presses them forward, yet caution holds them back. Some believe the wolves test the tribe's strength, seeking to understand whether humans remain united or vulnerable. Others believe the wolves are drawn to the fire, mesmerized by a force they both fear and admire. A few whisper that wolves carry spirits of ancestors, watching over the living during the harshest times. Such beliefs are not dismissed, they are woven into the tribe's understanding of the world. As the great hunger moon begins to wane, the wolves gradually retreat. Not because they are no longer hungry, but because something shifts in the land. Perhaps prey begins to stir again. Perhaps the days grow imperceptibly longer. Or perhaps they sense that the tribe stands unbroken, unwilling to surrender even the smallest breach of their safety. In the end, the wolves leave behind more than paw prints and echoes, they leave a reminder of the primal relationship between predator and human. A relationship built on tension, fear, admiration, and reflection. The wolves remain at the threshold, neither enemies nor allies, but powerful reflections of the wild's unforgiving truth. And in their glowing eyes, the tribe sees their own struggle, fierce, hungry, enduring. In the heart of the dark year, when hunger gnaws quietly and the cold presses against every wall of the shelter, the tribe turns to something older than language, older than memory, something that has carried humanity through countless winters long before tools grew sharp or fire was tamed. They turn to song. Music, rhythm, and art become the tribe's invisible armor, a force that does not warm the flesh but strengthens the spirit. In these bleakest nights, beauty becomes a form of survival, a rebellion against the silence and weight of winter. And as the fire crackles in the center of the shelter, the first low hum begins to rise. At first, the sound is soft, almost hesitant. A single voice, perhaps that of an elder, deep and trembling, carrying notes shaped by decades of hardship and wisdom. The hum drifts upward, touching the cold air with warmth that fire alone cannot create. Others join gradually, women with smooth, steady tones, men with rough, grounding voices, children with bright, uncertain melodies. Soon the shelter fills with layered sound, rising and falling like the breath of a great creature. The song is not written. It is born from memory, shaped by shared experience, passed from one generation to the next in a way that no words can fully capture. The rhythm of the music begins to drive away the heaviness of the night. The tribe sits taller. The fire seems to glow more brightly, as if responding to the pulse of the song. Even the wind outside softens, its sharp whistling replaced by the hum of voices blending in harmony. The songs do not deny the darkness, they acknowledge it fully, name it, honor it, but they refuse to let it dominate the human spirit. These winter songs serve many purposes. Some are meant to bring courage, with strong rising tones that echo the howling winds and transform fear into power. Others are gentle lullabies, sung to soothe hungry children and restless hearts. And some songs are ancient rituals, believed to call upon spirits, ancestors, and unseen forces for protection. The tribe knows these songs are not merely entertainment. They are tools of survival, as essential as spears or fire. They remind each person that they are part of something larger, something that has endured long before them and will continue long after. As the song spreads through the shelter, hands begin to move. Rhythmic tapping starts, fingers against hollow logs, palms against stretched hides, bones struck gently together. The beat grows steady, a heartbeat for the tribe. Bodies sway with the rhythm, shoulders rising and falling, eyes closing in deep focus. Movement emerges, small at first, then bold. A young woman rises, stepping into the center, her silhouette flickering against the firelight. She moves slowly, rhythmically, mimicking the sway of tall grass in the summer winds, the cautious steps of deer, the rolling walk of mammoths across the plains. Her dance tells a story. Not with words, but with motion. She becomes the seasons, the warmth of summer stretching across her arms, the chill of autumn reflected in her turning gestures, the grip of winter tightening around her steps. The children watch in awe. The elders nod with knowing eyes. Each movement she makes is layered with ancient meaning, carrying the tribe's history, fears, and hopes. Others join her. A man steps forward, stamping his feet with deliberate force. He represents the hunter, determined, cautious, resilient. Another mimics the arc of thrown spears, the tense pull of bowstrings. Soon the center of the shelter becomes a living tapestry of movement, sound, and emotion. The dancers' shadows leap across the walls, merging with carved shapes left by ancestors, creating a living blend of past and present. The songs shift again, becoming richer, fuller. Voices overlap in haunting harmonies that resonate through the shelter like the echoes of a deep cave. The rhythms grow faster, the beat more insistent. This is not just music, it is the tribe summoning strength from within, calling forth every ancient instinct of perseverance. It is a reminder that even in the coldest night, life pulses fiercely inside them. These rituals also serve to release what weighs on the tribe emotionally. Worries that they cannot voice in daytime emerge here in song, fear of hunger, fear of wolves, fear of illness or injury. Through singing and dancing, these fears transform, becoming something tangible the tribe can confront together. A child who cries in hunger may be lifted into a gentle circle of dancers, soothed by motion and melody. An elder weakened by cold finds renewed spirit in the vibrations of voices surrounding them. The music spreads warmth deeper than the fire ever could. As the night deepens, the energy shifts once more. The music grows softer, the dancing slow and fluid. People settle back into their places, their breathing calmer, their eyes glowing with the light of the flames. This part of the ritual is for healing, for binding the tribe's emotional wounds, for reconnecting frayed spirits, for reminding each other that winter's cold cannot freeze the bonds of community. An elder begins a final song. It is slow, melodic, filled with nostalgia. The words describe a long ago spring, when the world thawed and the first shoots of green appeared. It tells of rivers breaking free from ice, of animals returning, of sunlight lingering longer on the horizon. The song is not a denial of winter, it is a promise of what lies beyond it. Hummed by many voices, it wraps around the tribe like a warm blanket, easing the ache of hunger, comforting exhausted limbs, and offering hope that feels tangible enough to touch. Children fall asleep during this final song, their faces softened by peaceful dreams rather than haunted by fear. Adults sit in thoughtful silence, leaning against each other, sharing warmth through touch and closeness. Even the fire seems to listen, crackling in gentle rhythm, sending sparks upward like tiny stars climbing toward the dark roof of the shelter. When the last note fades, the silence that follows is no longer heavy. It is gentle, sacred, filled with the afterglow of unity. The tribe settles into sleep with hearts lighter, minds steadier, and spirits fortified. Outside, the wind continues to sweep across the frozen plains, indifferent and cold. But within the shelter, strength has been rekindled, drawn from song, from dance, from shared emotion, from beauty in a season designed to strip it away. Music has broken the darkness. And for another night, the tribe has triumphed. For the youngest members of the tribe, winter is not defined by hardship or fear in the same way it is for adults. Instead, it becomes a world of mystery, strange, quiet, shimmering with unfamiliar beauty. Among them is a child experiencing their first true winter, seeing the frozen world not as a battleground but as a vast, enchanting landscape waiting to be understood. While the adults carry the weight of survival on their shoulders, the child moves through the season with wide-eyed wonder, teaching the tribe something profound about hope and innocence in the dark year. The child wakes early, before most adults stir, drawn to the faint glow of the fire and the soft whisper of snow falling outside. Their small footsteps crunching across the frozen earth make a delicate music of their own. Through a gap in the shelter's hide covering, they peek outside and watch the world sparkle under a fresh layer of snow. To them, each snowflake seems like a tiny star fallen from the sky, each breath of cold air like a playful spirit brushing their cheek. They stretch out their hands, catching flakes and marveling as they melt instantly against their warm skin. This sense of wonder spreads throughout the tribe, softening the edges of winter's harshness. Even the most weathered hunters pause to watch the child play at the shelter's entrance, their motions mimicking the swirling snow, their laughter bright in the quiet morning. For a moment, the hunters feel a spark of their own forgotten childhoods, remembering a time when winter's silence brought curiosity rather than dread. The child's presence reminds them that the world, though dangerous, still holds gentle moments. Throughout the day, the child explores the limits of what winter allows. They examine frost patterns on the hides, describing them as ice drawings from the sky. They sit near the fire, poking small sticks into the embers to watch how sparks leap upward like tiny fire spirits racing to join the stars. They wander around the camp with innocent boldness, turning simple tasks into games, gathering snow to melt for water, stacking sticks for the fire keeper, pretending to track imaginary creatures in the snow. The adults watch with quiet amusement, sometimes guiding the child gently, other times letting them learn by discovery. But the child's first winter dream comes not in waking play, but in sleep, during a long, cold night when the wind howls outside and the tribe huddles close to keep warm. Wrapped in layers of fur, the child drifts into a deep slumber, their small chest rising and falling gently as the fire crackles nearby. The elders say that winter dreams are important, that they reveal truths hidden by the darkness. And tonight, the child enters a world shaped by imagination yet deeply entwined with the wisdom of the tribe. In the dream, winter is not harsh but alive. The snow glows like moonlit silk, and the wind speaks in soft whispers rather than wails. The trees, stripped bare in reality, stand tall and shimmering, draped with crystal branches that hum with ancient songs. Animals move freely through this dream world, mammoths with glowing tusks, wolves with fur like silver mist, birds that leave trails of stardust in their wake. The child follows them with fearless curiosity, giggling as they run across open fields untouched by hunger or cold. A great figure appears in the dream, one that shifts between forms, a towering mammoth one moment, a graceful stag the next, then a glowing human silhouette. The figure does not speak with words but with presence, radiating warmth that contrasts the cold world around it. The child feels safe, wrapped in a sense of belonging so profound they cannot describe it. The figure bends down and touches the child's cheek with a gentle glow, leaving behind a spark of courage, curiosity, and resilience. The dream continues, showing rivers flowing beneath ice, spring buds waiting beneath frozen soil, and stars turning slowly overhead as if guiding time itself. The child becomes part of this cosmic rhythm, understanding in their dream what the adults know through experience, that winter is not an ending but a journey, a bridge to something new. They see the tribe gathered around fire, not in fear but in unity, their faces glowing with strength. They see themselves older, stronger, standing with the hunters, the fire keepers, the mothers, the elders. When the child wakes, the dream lingers like warm breath in the cold air. Their eyes open wide, filled not with fear but with wonder. They sit upright, blinking at the morning light filtering into the shelter, and immediately begin telling anyone who will listen about their dream. The adults smile gently, intrigued by the child's vivid description. Elders listen intently, sometimes nodding as if recognizing the symbolism. They believe winter dreams are gifts, and this one feels like a blessing in a season of scarcity. The child's retelling lifts the mood of the camp. Even the hunters, weary from long days without prey, find comfort in the idea of glowing animals and rivers beneath the ice. The tribe sees in the child's dream a reminder of renewal, that beneath the frozen silence, life prepares to return. The dream becomes a small spark of hope shared among them, a soft light that helps push back the weight of the dark season. Throughout the day, the child moves with new confidence, emboldened by their dream. They imitate the animals they saw, stomping like a mammoth, gliding like a wolf, waving their arms like wings. The tribe laughs softly, joining in the playful motions. For a moment, winter feels lighter, its hold less suffocating. And as night falls again, the adults tuck the child close to the fire, wrapping them in warmth. They whisper gratitude to whatever spirit brought such a dream. The child drifts into sleep once more, carrying within them a sliver of winter magic, a reminder that even in the darkest season, wonder survives, innocence endures, and dreams can guide a tribe forward when reality feels too heavy to bear. In this way, the child's first winter dream becomes more than imagination. It becomes a symbol of hope, a gentle spark within the tribe's collective spirit, proof that even in the grip of the dark year, beauty still finds a way to bloom. The first hints of change arrive quietly, so quietly, in fact, that most of the tribe does not notice them at first. Winter has trained everyone to expect sameness, the same biting wind, the same brittle frost, the same endless stretch of cold that tightens around the world like a frozen fist. But then, on a morning that seems no different from the countless ones before it, someone steps outside the shelter and pauses. There is something different in the air. Something subtle, delicate, almost fragile. A softness. A whisper. A promise. The thawing of the night does not begin with warmth but with absence, the absence of the cold's sharpest edge. The air still chills the skin, but it no longer cuts. The frost still covers the earth, but its grip feels less certain. The silence of the land holds a new kind of tension, not heavy like the heart of winter, but expectant, as if the world itself is holding its breath. The tribe senses it even before they understand it. This is the first turning. The earliest sign that winter's dominance is beginning to loosen. As the sun rises, its light spreads farther than it has in many moons. The glow seems slightly fuller, slightly stronger, casting a faint golden wash over the snow rather than the pale, cold blue they had grown used to. Shadows shorten a little earlier. Ice catches the sunlight in new ways, sparkling not with winter's harsh brilliance but with something gentler, something alive. The hunters look toward the horizon, noting the shift in the sun's position. The elders exchange knowing glances. The mothers breathe a quiet sigh of relief. Even the children, though they cannot articulate the change, feel lighter, their movements less sluggish. Throughout the day, small changes continue to emerge. Snow near the edges of rocks begins to gather beads of moisture, tiny droplets that glisten before refreezing. The river, still trapped beneath a hard layer of ice, emits faint groans, deep, echoing sounds that resemble the stirring of a sleeping giant. Birds appear in twos and threes, flying low across the plains, their calls hesitant but unmistakably hopeful. The wolves howl differently now too, less sharply, as if sensing that the land will soon shift beneath their paws. Inside the shelter, the mood begins to brighten almost imperceptibly. Hunger still sits heavy in the stomach, but hope begins to work its way into conversation. The elders tell stories of past winters, how the thaw always began slow, like an uncertain dream, before bursting into undeniable change. They explain how the earth prepares long before the tribe can see it, roots wake beneath the soil, frozen streams loosen beneath the ice, seeds stir in the memory of warmth. These stories make the tribe lean closer to the fire, listening intently, imagining the unseen life gathering strength beneath winter's white silence. The hunters venture out with renewed determination. Though the landscape appears unchanged, they feel fresh energy in their limbs, fueled by the possibility of easier days ahead. They follow tracks with more hope, seeing signs of returning prey, spotting the faint imprints of small animals that had been absent for many weeks. Though they may return empty-handed, they return with spirits lifted, carrying stories of life stirring at the edges of the wilderness. It is during the evening, however, that the thaw reveals one of its most magical signs. As night falls, the temperature dips again, but not to the bone-breaking severity they have grown accustomed to. The stars shine brightly overhead, and the wind carries a sound the tribe has not heard in months, the soft dripping of melting ice. Somewhere near the riverbank, water finds a small crack and escapes in gentle trickles. Though faint, the sound feels miraculous, a melody of movement and renewal, a herald of change. The tribe gathers outside the shelter, listening. The dripping is intermittent, fragile, but unmistakable. Mothers hold their children close, pointing toward the sound with quiet wonder. Elders smile, their wrinkled faces lit by firelight and starlight alike. Hunters listen with reverence, aware that moving water means returning herds, easier paths, warmer days. For a moment, everything feels possible. The thawing of the night is not just a physical transition, it is an emotional one. The weight of winter lifts slightly from the tribe's shoulders. People speak more gently, laugh more readily, and share what little food they have with greater lightness of heart. Sleep comes easier, filled with dreams of spring rather than nightmares of hunger. Even the fire seems to burn more brightly, its flames dancing with renewed vigor, as if reflecting the earth's awakening. On one particular night, the sky displays a rare spectacle, a faint blush of color on the northern horizon, not the fierce auroras of midwinter but a softer glow, like the sky itself is warming. The tribe watches quietly, sensing that this gentle illumination marks a shift in the world's balance. The long night is beginning to yield to the coming dawn. By morning, the changes are clearer. Snow melts faster where sunlight touches it. Icicles drip through midday, their rhythm steady and sure. The river groans more frequently, its frozen crust cracking in places. Birds gather near the camp, hopping cautiously along the snow as if searching for early food. And the air, still cold, carries a faint scent of earth beneath the frost, a smell the tribe has longed for without realizing it. The thawing of the night does not end in a single moment, it unfolds slowly, gently, like a hand releasing its grip one finger at a time. Yet its impact on the tribe is immediate and profound. Their spirits rise. Their hearts lighten. Their minds begin to imagine life beyond survival, life filled with movement, color, and warmth. For the first time since the dark year began, the tribe feels the undeniable truth stirring in the world around them: winter is weakening. The night is thinning. And dawn, real dawn, is on its way. As the grip of winter slowly loosens, the tribe begins to sense a shift not only in the land but within themselves. The long months of endurance, hunger, and darkness have carved resilience into their spirits, shaping them in ways they could not fully understand while the cold still ruled their days. Now, as the sun rises a little higher each morning and lingers a little longer before sinking beneath the horizon, the tribe feels a cautious but unmistakable stirring, an awakening. Each new dawn feels like a promise, a whisper of renewal waiting just beyond reach. Their footsteps, once heavy with winter's weight, now move with tentative purpose toward the new sun. The thaw becomes more visible with each passing day. Snow that once lay frozen in thick, unyielding layers begins to soften under the sun's gentle touch. The hard crust cracks in places, revealing patches of dark earth beneath. Water trickles through narrow channels, weaving paths through ice that had seemed permanent only weeks before. The world is changing shape, slowly, quietly, but undeniably. For the tribe, these shifts bring both hope and responsibility. Survival no longer means only enduring, it means preparing for movement, for opportunity, for life beyond subsistence. The hunters rise earlier now, energized by the scent of melting earth and the sound of distant water. Their steps carry a renewed sense of purpose as they scout areas previously unreachable due to deep snow and ice. They begin to find tracks more frequently, fresh signs of deer returning to the plains, birds hopping near the forest edge, even small rodents emerging cautiously from burrows. Though food remains scarce, the signs of returning life lighten the hunters' hearts. They return to camp with a new kind of excitement in their voices, telling stories of thawed trails, unfrozen pools, and early animal movement. The women and elders also feel the shift. They spend hours examining the earth near the camp, looking for the first hints of green, tiny shoots pushing through thawed soil, ambitious and fragile. Even before plants break the surface, they can smell change in the air, a dampness richer than winter frost. The elders speak in hushed tones of past springs, reminding the younger ones of plants that bloom early, herbs that return with the first warmth, and roots that grow tender after long months of cold. Their knowledge, honed through generations, becomes vital guidance for the tribe's next steps. Inside the shelters, preparations begin for the season ahead. Tools are repaired with fresh focus. Broken spear shafts are replaced. Furs are checked and mended, not only for warmth but for mobility as the tribe anticipates longer journeys. The fire, once the center of survival, remains important but no longer dominates their routines. People spend more time outside, letting the weak but welcome sunlight touch their skin. Children play again, chasing each other through slushy snow, their laughter echoing across a world waking from hibernation. Yet with this hope comes caution. The transition between winter and spring is treacherous. The elders remind everyone that ice is unpredictable during thaw, capable of collapsing underfoot without warning. Some days still bring bitter winds or sudden storms, remnants of winter refusing to let go easily. The tribe knows better than to trust the season too soon. They celebrate the thaw carefully, always aware that scarcity is not yet behind them. During evening gatherings, the mood shifts from solemn endurance to thoughtful reflection. Members of the tribe speak openly about the hardships they survived, the great hunger moon, the wolves at the threshold, the endless nights filled with songs meant to hold darkness at bay. These shared memories bring renewed unity, binding them through collective strength. The elders remind them that the end of winter is not merely a change in weather but a moment of transformation. It is a time to remember what they have endured and acknowledge how they have changed. One night, as the sun sets later than it has in months, the tribe gathers on the ridge overlooking the valley. The sky burns in shades of orange, gold, and purple, as if the world is honoring their resilience with a final winter sunset. They stand shoulder to shoulder, watching the last light sink behind softened hills. Where once the horizon was harsh and unyielding, it now holds a sense of possibility. The children point at birds flying north. The hunters speak of fertile plains waiting beyond the river. Mothers cradle their infants with a renewed sense of peace, imagining warmer nights and fuller meals. As darkness falls, the stars shine less sharply than before, softened by humidity rising from melting snow. The air carries a new weight, less biting, more nourishing. The tribe senses that the world is turning toward life again. They walk back to camp with a new rhythm in their steps, their bodies no longer braced against bitter cold but moving in anticipation of the season ahead. In the days that follow, their actions reflect optimism. They begin to explore areas farther from camp, marking potential routes for migration once spring fully arrives. The hunters scout new hunting grounds, following rivers newly freed from ice. The women search for the earliest edible plants, knowing that even a handful of fresh greens can revitalize the body after months of dried rations. Every discovery, no matter how small, feels like a gift. But the greatest shift happens within their hearts. Fear loosens its hold. Exhaustion fades. Hope, which had flickered through winter like a fragile ember, now burns more steadily. The tribe feels themselves stepping, slowly but firmly, toward renewal. The hardships of winter have not broken them, they have strengthened them. Each challenge survived becomes a stone in the foundation of their endurance. As the sun rises higher each day, its light feels different, warmer, fuller, filled with promise. The tribe moves toward it, carrying the lessons of winter with them. Their footsteps, once heavy and dragging, now press forward with intent. Toward new life. Toward new opportunities. Toward a future shaped not only by survival, but by growth. These are footsteps toward the new sun, toward a world blooming beyond the horizon, waiting for them to claim it with the strength they forged in the darkest season. The first true warmth of the year arrives not with dramatic fanfare but with a whisper, soft, subtle, almost unbelievable. After months of relentless cold, the tribe has grown accustomed to the sharp bite of winter air, to winds that claw at the skin and steal breath from the lungs. So when a gentle breeze drifts across the camp one morning, carrying with it the faintest hint of softness, it feels like a dream. At first, no one speaks of it, unsure if their senses have been fooled by longing. But as the day unfolds, the truth becomes impossible to deny: the world is beginning to warm. The breeze brushes against their faces like a cautious hand, testing the boundaries of winter's reign. It moves through the long frozen grass, stirring it with a sound different from the brittle crackling of the cold months. The air smells faintly of soil, rich, damp, alive. For people who have breathed nothing but ice for so long, the scent feels like a revelation. Children tilt their heads back and breathe deeply, giggling in amazement. Mothers close their eyes, letting the warmth settle into their bones. Even the elders stand a little straighter, their faces softening with memories of springs gone by. Around the camp, signs of change begin to appear like quiet miracles. Snow melts faster where sunlight touches it, retreating in irregular patches that reveal dark earth beneath. Icicles shrink drip by drip, their steady rhythm a comforting reminder that winter's grip is weakening. Water gathers beneath the melting ice of the river, forming small puddles that glisten in the light. The sound of dripping, once rare and delicate, now becomes a persistent melody, the music of renewal. The animals sense the transformation as well. Birds return in scattered groups, landing cautiously on branches, chirping soft calls that echo like distant bells. Their voices, absent for so long, fill the tribe with a joy they didn't realize they had missed. A fox appears near the edge of camp, its fur shedding the thick weight of winter. It pauses, sniffing the air, as though confirming the presence of warmth before darting away. Even the wolves seem changed, their howls less mournful, more vibrant, reflecting the stirring life around them. The hunters venture out with renewed purpose. The thawing ground softens their steps, freeing them from the stiff, brittle terrain of winter. They follow emerging tracks, fresh imprints of deer moving north, rabbits beginning to forage, birds fluttering over open water. Although food is still scarce, hope is no longer a fragile ember, it has taken shape, becoming a steady flame within each hunter's chest. They return to camp not only with small successes, a fish caught where the river cracks open, a handful of early herbs, but with confidence that the worst is behind them. Inside the shelter, the warmth transforms daily life. People shed the heaviest layers of fur, revealing limbs thin from winter but ready for movement. They sit closer to the entrance, letting sunlight spill across the floor. For the first time in many moons, the fire is allowed to rest during midday, its heat no longer essential to survival. Tasks that once felt burdensome now carry a hint of ease. Mothers smile more readily. Children run without fear of frostbite stinging their cheeks. Elders speak of planting grounds and hunting routes, of rituals to welcome the returning sun. One afternoon, as the warmth builds, something extraordinary happens. A small patch of green breaks through a melt-softened mound of snow. It is only a sprout, tiny, delicate, vulnerable to the cold that still lingers in the air, but to the tribe, it is a miracle. Children gather around it, pointing with wide-eyed amazement. Elders touch the earth near it with reverent hands. The plant becomes a symbol of everything winter had tried to suppress: life, persistence, renewal. As days continue, the breeze grows stronger and more frequent. It carries warmth across the plains, bending tall grasses that begin to reclaim their color. It rustles through the skeletal branches of trees, coaxing buds to swell with early promise. It billows through the tribe's shelter, carrying away the stale weight of months spent indoors. The people breathe it in deeply, letting it wash through them, clearing away fear, weariness, and the suffocating heaviness of the dark year. Evenings change as well. No longer does darkness descend with suffocating speed. The sun lingers longer, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose before dipping below the horizon. The tribe gathers outside to watch, letting the last rays warm their cheeks. They talk, they laugh, they share stories of the winter, not with sorrow, but with pride. They survived. They endured. And now, standing beneath a sky softened by warmth, they can finally release the tension that had wound tight within them for so long. On one particularly striking evening, the warm breeze gusts through the camp with more confidence than ever before. It ruffles hair, lifts stray feathers from the ground, carries sparks upward from the fire. The people look at one another with awe, sensing that this is the moment the season truly shifts. The breeze smells of wet earth, of moss, of distant greenery pushing upward. It smells of rebirth. Elders raise their hands to the sky, whispering blessings to welcome the returning warmth. Children dance in circles, laughing breathlessly as the breeze wraps around them. Hunters close their eyes and imagine the hunts ahead, the open plains, the rivers flowing freely, the herds returning in abundance. Mothers hold their infants tighter, knowing that survival no longer hangs by a thread. The tribe sleeps differently that night. Not curled in defensive circles against the cold, but stretched comfortably beneath softened hides. Dreams come more gently, filled with green leaves, warm sunlight, flowing water. And when they wake, they find the world transformed yet again. The snow has retreated even farther, the river cracks loudly under the pushing force of rising water, birds dart playfully in the warming air. The first warm breeze may have seemed fragile, but it carried a promise powerful enough to awaken the land itself. And now, with winter finally loosening its hold, the tribe steps into the beginning of renewal, into a world growing brighter, greener, kinder with each passing hour, leading them toward the new life awaiting just beyond the thaw. The final chapter of winter arrives with a sense of reverence, a quiet understanding shared by every member of the tribe that they stand at the threshold between what was and what will be. The dark year, with all its hardship, hunger, silence, and introspection, begins not in the icy depths of the cold season but in the moment winter finally loosens its grip. It begins with renewal, with awareness, with the wisdom earned from enduring nature's harshest trials. And as the tribe wakes to a world reshaped by thaw and light, they realize that the dawn of the dark year is not simply a season, it is a state of becoming. Morning light filters through the shelter's opening in warm, golden ribbons. The sun climbs higher than it has in months, illuminating fur covers, tool piles, and the faint outlines of sleeping figures. It feels almost foreign, warm, not scalding, not sharp, just comforting. When the first few members of the tribe step outside, they are greeted by a transformed landscape. The air holds a mildness that loosens their joints, the snow recedes into shallow pools of water, and the ground beneath the slush begins to soften with the promise of growth. This is not the end of winter, it still lingers in patches and breezes, but it is the beginning of something new, something sacred. For centuries, the tribe has marked this transition as the dawn of the dark year, a phrase whose meaning becomes clearer with each generation. The dark does not refer to the absence of light, for the sun is returning. Rather, it speaks to the knowledge carried through winter, the deeper understanding of life's fragility, strength, and cycles. The dawn is not light breaking darkness, but wisdom breaking uncertainty. The elders emerge slowly, leaning on carved walking sticks worn smooth by time. Their eyes shine as they scan the horizon. They have lived through many winters, each unique, each teaching its own lessons. But the moment when the world begins to warm, as subtle as it is always sacred to them. An elder stoops to touch the ground, feeling water seep between their fingers. They smile faintly, murmuring a blessing to the earth beneath. Others gather around, watching in respectful silence. This gesture marks the year's true turning, not the solstice, not the first snow, but the earth's acceptance of the sun once more. The tribe begins its day with more energy than they have felt in months. Children run through slushy patches, sending sprays of melting snow into the air. Hunters stretch their stiff muscles, preparing for longer journeys ahead. Mothers sort through their supplies with fresh clarity, setting aside worn tools and brittle hides, preparing for the creation of new ones. Even the fire seems to burn differently, less as a guardian against death and more as a companion in the transition toward life. Still, the memories of winter remain vivid. The tribe gathers near the central fire, not out of necessity but out of ritual. They sit in a circle, faces warmed by sunlight rather than flame, and begin recounting the experiences that shaped them through the dark months. The great hunger moon, the wolves at the threshold, the frozen river, the dreams that guided children and elders alike, they relive these moments not with fear but with gratitude. Each story reminds them that they survived not because they fought the winter, but because they respected it. The chief elder begins to speak, her voice slow and resonant. She explains that the dark year begins now because it symbolizes transformation. Winter strips away comfort, forcing the tribe to confront the essence of existence: hunger, cold, community, purpose. Now, as the sun returns, the tribe carries the wisdom gained through suffering into the brighter seasons. The dark year is a year of growth born from the shadows, a cycle of renewal fueled by introspection. This teaching becomes even more tangible when the tribe begins their preparation rituals. Hunters walk to the riverbank, where the ice cracks open to reveal silt and stones. They wash their hands in the cold water, symbolizing purification and readiness for the new season's challenges. Women bring out woven baskets and pouches that survived winter's tests, checking which can be repaired, which must be replaced. Young members sit with elders to practice tying knots, flaking stone points, and carving wooden shafts, skills that will soon be vital for both travel and hunting. During these tasks, the tribe reflects openly. Winter has changed them. They are leaner, sharper, more connected to one another. They remember the nights when song held the darkness back, the days when even a tiny spark of fire felt like a triumph. They remember how the wolves watched them and how they watched the wolves, a mutual acknowledgement of shared struggle. They recall the child's dream that brought hope, the rituals in the caves that reminded them of their ancestors, and the endless nights beneath a star-laden sky that made them feel small yet significant in a vast universe. The dawn of the dark year is a celebration of these transformations. Not a loud celebration, not the kind with feasts or dancing. The tribe has little to spare, and they respect the delicate balance of early spring. Instead, they honor this moment through mindful gratitude. They craft small symbols from bone or wood, circles representing the cycle of the year, spirals symbolizing growth, triangles marking the unity of earth, sky, and fire. These tokens are placed around the camp, secured beneath stones, tied to branches, or hung near the shelter entrances. They are reminders of resilience, reminders that the tribe has crossed the threshold from mere survival into deeper understanding. Later in the day, the tribe climbs the ridge overlooking the valley, a place that has witnessed their fears, hopes, and rituals. The sun glints off the patches of remaining snow, creating a mosaic of white, brown, and gold. From this vantage point, they can see how the landscape shifts, how rivers break open, how grass begins to stir beneath the frost, how animals return one by one. The tribe stands in silence, absorbing the magnitude of the change. The chief elder instructs them to breathe deeply. "This," she says, "is the first breath of the new year. Carry winter's wisdom in your lungs. Carry spring's promise in your hearts." Her words resonate through the tribe like a pulse. They breathe together, slowly, intentionally, feeling the renewal settle into their bones. As the sun reaches its peak, the tribe begins the symbolic splitting of tasks. This is a tradition. At the dawn of the dark year, the tribe divides responsibilities not out of necessity but out of alignment. Those who feel drawn to the earth begin preparing soil for early gathering. Those who feel called by the sky help teach children the patterns of migrating birds. Those who feel the pull of distant journeys join the hunters to scout the paths that spring will soon reveal. Winter has taught each person their place, their strengths, and their importance to the tribe as a whole. Now, they act upon it. By late afternoon, laughter begins to return to the camp, not the soft, cautious laughter of winter, but genuine, full laughter. Children chase one another across damp grass. Adults share memories of their youth, recalling past springs and the awakenings that followed. Music, spontaneous and joyful, rises from the center of the tribe. Someone taps rhythmically on a hollowed log. A woman hums a melody that catches on the wind. Soon, others join, creating a layered harmony that blends with the sound of melting ice and distant birdsong. Evening brings the final ritual of the transition. The tribe gathers around the central fire once more, not huddled in fear, but standing tall in acknowledgement. The fire keeper, who protected the flame through the darkest nights, lifts a single glowing ember. With careful steps, she carries it to a new fire pit built just beyond the old one. She deposits the ember and begins to build a new flame from the same spark that survived winter. As the fire catches and rises, she announces, "As the ember endured, so have we. From one flame, we become many. From one winter, we begin a year." The tribe watches in silence, their faces illuminated by the warm light of renewal. The fire crackles, not with desperation, but with life. A breeze passes through camp, warm and gentle, bending the flames but not extinguishing them. Night settles softly after the first day of the dawn of the dark year. Stars appear, not harsh, not distant, but welcoming. The tribe retires to their shelters with hearts lighter than they have felt in months, knowing that they step into the new year with strength forged in darkness. And as they drift into sleep, the world breathes with them. For the dark year is not a time of suffering, it is a time of awakening. A year shaped by winter's lessons. A year guided by resilience, unity, memory, and the eternal cycle of light returning after the longest night. A year just beginning.